Hello and welcome back to Keys to the City. I'm Kimiko on the camera, Keil is behind the camera, and we are slinging you the freshest Edmonton content all summer long. Today we are continuing our Musician Week coverage, and I'm here with a local hip-hop musician, ejazz. Ejazz, welcome! Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hello, yes I'd love to. My name is ejazz. I'm born and raised in Edmonton. I'm a hip-hop artist in Edmonton, but I like to do a bunch of different stuffs, and I aim to do a bunch of different stuffs throughout my life. Both in the art world and outside, but I self-identify as an alien. That's legit. I love you. That's another thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
So how did you get started with making music?
You know, I've always known that I wanted to, but I didn't start, I mean, relative to a lot of people for some time. I knew I wanted to all the way from junior high, but I actually started talking about this in a song that I'm writing right now called Diary of a Madman, Page 2, where the main reason why I want to make music is because I want to make people feel the way music made me feel growing up. It was my savior, seriously, like my savior. So, and it healed me so much, taught me so many things that I wouldn't have learned any other way, just through other people's life experiences and stories. So I knew that that's what I wanted to be the main goal of my music. So partially due to just being paralyzed and having like anxiety to start, but also I wanted to wait until I felt like I was in a place in life where I knew that I'd be spreading messages that I condone. And this is what I say in my song. I say, waited to be a better man till I know I'm spreading stuff I condone. Waited till I knew the world I lived in versus how I think it's meant to be, so I could clearly visualize how y'all gonna see my legacy. So I started writing songs when I was 23. I'm 29 now. And my first EP came out in 2018, so 4 years ago, when I was 25. So I was kind of working on some rough stuff, you know, at the beginning, just straight like raw emotions, like not even really rhyming, almost just, you know, just kind of putting stuff down. And then, it took me I made all the beats to my first EP too, just because I didn't have a team, I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I always thought that I'd end up in a band first, but never ended up in a band, so I was like, well, guess I'm a rap, because those have been my two loves, like growing up, like rock and metal have been like one section of my huge passion, and then hip hop is the other. And I love like pretty much all music, don't get me wrong, but those two have just been like my backbone in the music world. So I just thought, you know, what can I do by myself? And I was like, you know, I can rap. Kendrick Lamar, I don't know if I have to say his name on.
Yeah,
okay.
you can.
Yeah. He's the rapper that, when he came out with his album Good Kid, Mad City, that was the album that made me think two things. One, I want to do this. What he's doing to me right now, I want to do that. And two, I can do this. Like, he just gave me all the courage, and he continues to do that throughout his career. He's my favorite rapper, for sure. So started about 23, I'm 29 now, so 6 years total, and counting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bit of a journey for you, hey?
Little bit of a journey, yes.
The discovery.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so much to learn along the way. It gets overwhelming a lot of the time, but just got to remember to try to put it in a song and, you know, let the listeners know my journey, like let them be a part of it. You know, sometimes I get wrapped up in the journey, but I forget that it's worth it to express it to people, because you know, as somebody who's loved music for his whole life, and I have artists that I've liked since childhood, and I love their journey as a fan, you know, that's what I want to offer to people moving forward as well for myself. Just like let them know all the trials and all the ups and all the downs, because it's not something that happens overnight usually. So I want to let people know that through the ups and downs, you know, growth will still happen.
Yeah. And people love getting to be part of a process. Like, you love getting to see somebody succeed, or you love if someone's had a bad day, the next day they're like, today's better. Like, it's, you get bought in when you're sharing the journey. It becomes more of a connection, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of, or what would you use to describe your music? What kind of music do you make?
Yeah, like hip hop is usually how I would describe it, and I sometimes choose that over rap only because sometimes I add like spoken word elements to my music, and I'm not necessarily like rapping at you. I'm kind of speaking to you, because I've always really admired slam poets and stuff like that too. So hip hop is the backbone, the core, but I would say also experimental because I'm a weird dude, and I like to just try new things all the time. Like, that's my favorite part about life, is learning new things and trying new things. So that's why I'm almost hesitant to really give myself I like to say that I'm an artist. Yes, I'm a rapper for sure, but I think an artist is like a loose enough term that encapsulates all the ambitions in the art world. I just want to make art. Yeah.
You just want to create things.
Yeah, I want to create things, just like this blank canvas here. Work of art. It's $1 million for sale if anybody wants it. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't get it, then it's okay, but one day you'll get it.
Yeah, one day you'll understand what the canvas means.
Yeah,
It's a metaphor. It's fine. So with creating music, would you say that it's like the lyrics that you're writing are like a journaling experience for you, or what is the process of creating lyrics and music?
So I used to kind of think that all of them were that, but it's not necessarily. Like, I'm writing a song right now to feature with a local Edmonton rapper, and it's like a club banger type song.
Okay.
And it's like, yo girl, you looking fine, that kind of stuff. That's not what I write in my journal normally.
Maybe your junior high journal?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. But even in that one, it was more like, it wouldn't be like, yo girl, you looking fine. It'd be like, oh, I like this girl, but I don't know how to talk to her. That's what it would be.
Yeah. Also, I'm out of Axe body spray. I really got to go buy more.
Yeah. When I like take a shower at someone else's house and I see that they have Axe soap, I kind of get pumped because I never use it, and it's like a nice nostalgia hit. I'm like, sick, Axe, nice. It's been a while.
It's sick. I'm gonna get really dry skin.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta lotion up after that. But so I have a series of songs that I'm working on called Diary of a Madman. And I only have page 1 out right now. The lyrics that I just mentioned to you a few seconds ago, that's coming up for Diary of a Madman page 2. It's inspired by Kendrick Lamar because he has the Heart part 1 all the way up to part 5. There's an artist named Hobson. He's got the Ill Mind of Hobson 1 all the way up to like 9. And they're very personal, like, deep thought type songs, right? And they're very journalistic in nature. And I've always really liked those collection of songs that artists have, because it's different, right? It's different from an EP or an album. It's its own thing, and it just kind of, there's no time structure for it. Like, you never know when it's gonna have a new edition. But I kind of foresee myself having like Diary of a Madman page 43 at some point. Because I think it's cool that nobody has really done that I know of. But if I'm being true to myself, I'm journaling every day. And so sometimes it's easier or preferred to turn it into a song. I'm actually already working on Diary of a Madman page 3. And it started off as like a journaling experience, but the subject matter is something that I want to tell a lot of people, like even if it's just my friends, but it's heavy subject matter. So it's not always easy to find the time and the space to tell every person individually like this whole thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell the whole world. And that way everybody can know what happened. I can just get it off my chest. So for those songs, they're very journalistic in nature, but some of them are just kind of like about a topic, like I'm working on a song right now. I don't know if it'll come out, but just called Water, and it's about how good water is. I might journal about that, but it's also just kind of fun, playful as well. So my process for that kind of stuff differs kind of depending on the nature of the song. Yeah, I have an ambition to make my first album be called Changes, right? That's what I want to do. I'm working on my third EP right now, and maybe I'll have another EP after that, who knows, but I want to work on an album called Changes. And, you know, as somebody who went to university but doesn't really, I'm not looking for a field specifically related to what I went to university for, but I don't want to not use the things that I've learned and the tools that I've learned while I was in school. So I actually want to treat a lot of my songs in the future, especially for the album Changes, because it's regarding the world and just my view on stuff going on in the world. I want to take on songs and albums like that as research papers. So like literally like with citations and stuff like that, because I want to be an academic, but I also want to be sure of the information that I'm spreading. But there's a lot of stuff that is going on in the world that stinks. So yeah. I wanna talk on it, but in a educated fashion. And yeah, so I haven't really started that process yet, though. I'm still kind of in my self-discovery phase, but I do want to do that at some point.
Yeah. Do you think you're just going to know when it's time to start moving towards that, or do you have a timeline for when you'd like to start?
Yeah, timelines are rough.
Yeah.
Because I can't be too married to a timeline. You know, even this year, there's been times where I was very sure things were going to turn out one way and they didn't, and you got to adapt, right? But I do have a loose timeline. It would be easier to explain this timeline if I were to explain the premise of the EP I'm working on right now. Can you sip some water right quick?
Absolutely.
Shout out these glasses I got from my grandma.
Nice. Write a song about them too with the water song. Part 2.
Now I got to give you a credit. Yeah.
Sweet.
I'll let you know. I'll cut you a fat check when it reaches the top 100 Billboard.
Amazing.
Yeah. So my EP that I'm working on is called Rebirth, right? And it's the third installment of a trilogy that I'm working on. So when I decided to make music, I was like, I don't know what I sound like. I love rap. I rap other people's songs all the time. Back then I could like sound like people, but I'm obviously not trying to sound like other people when I rap. I just didn't know what my voice was. So I decided I'd give myself 3 EPs to just figure that out. And then that was all it was at the start, but it kind of evolved into a much deeper project. Like, I gave myself 3 EPs without even thinking of it as a trilogy, though. I was just like 3 projects. But the first one's called No One Is Alone, and that one is about what it was like for me to be just crippled by anxiety and depression and just in the darkness, right? But the last song, that EP called No One Is Alone, that song represents what it would be like metaphorically if you were trapped in the darkness, but one tiny, tiny ray of light just made it into your eye, and you're just like, like, you know, just some cave-dwelling monster, right? But just how important that one piece of light is. And the second album, or the second EP, is called Vision. And, you know, it's a bit subjective as well, like some of my experiences, not just purely like talking about this subject, but metaphorically it's like what one can do with that light, even that tiny amount of light, what you can do with it, because that's what people need, honestly. Like when you're feeling really depressed and suicidal, like you just don't, people who actually take that next step, like they don't see a reason to make it to tomorrow, right? There's no vision to the next day, nothing to look forward to. So that's why even just having one supportive friend that you can maybe see the next day, which is kind of why that song is called No One Is Alone, is so important, because that can take you so far, just that one little bit of light. So in Vision, that's what I talk about, like what to do or how I maneuvered when I got a glimpse of that light. And then Rebirth is now how to navigate in this newfound light. And I'm trying to like really just up the ante on each EP, like just like holy crap, that was improvement, holy crap, that was improvement. I'm basically treating Rebirth as an album. There's going to be 9 songs, and I'm structuring it after Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you heard of that before?
I sure have, yeah.
So his initial model, I don't even know if he was the one who made the model. I think some people made a model based on his thing, and it was like a 5-tier model of like physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and then transcendence. And basically the idea is that, you know, you can't access the next tier unless the base layer is taken care of, right? And then some other psychologists took that model and made it a little bit more specific, where there's 8 tiers separated into 4-4, and the bottom 4 is deficiency needs, the top 4 is growth needs. So I'm modeling my EP based off of that. So there's 9 songs. The first one is called Rebirth, that's at the very bottom, and then the second song, Survival Mode, is, you know, like physiological needs, and the third song is Grind, that one's for safety, then Friends for love and belonging, and then so on and so forth. So I've been at the top of that pyramid before. I loosely remember what it feels like. It's been a while. I lived in Tokyo for a year, as you might recall, and when I came back from Tokyo, I felt at that top spot. I felt it's the first time in my life I felt caught up as a person with like where I am, just very present in the moment, very sure of myself, and you know, COVID has been rough on you, boy. It has been. I almost swore. I was close.
Checked yourself.
I almost wrecked myself. Not quite. I am a giant extrovert, and I just had this energy deficit for so long because I couldn't be an extrovert. And then I kind of even forgot how to be. How to be.
Yeah.
So right now I'm still kind of chipping away at those bottom layers of the pyramid. You know, reconnecting with old or mending, you know, torn relationships with important people, trying to get my money right, you know, this and that. So that's how I know I'm not ready to take on the Changes LP and that type of thing, because to be in that headspace, I need to have these layers taken care of first before I can really like actually study properly. So I would like to have the EP, the Rebirth EP out by next spring. That's the goal. I'm working on a huge music video for it as well, and I want to try to have it out by then too. But then after that, I'll probably take a little bit of a break. I've been kind of going ham at music for the last couple of years, just like, notice me! Notice me, senpai, notice me.
Please, someone.
Yeah. But I know that when Rebirth is done, I'll feel very proud of myself, because I'm not going to release it unless it's what it's supposed to be. So I know that when that's done, I'll be able to just be like, and the thing is that the whole EP is based on this growth journey. So it literally can't come out until I am also in that place. So it's going to feel like a very nice release when that time comes, for sure.
Yeah, once you've made your way through.
But who knows?
Layers,
I can't turn off the creative faucet a lot of the times. Who knows? Maybe I'll already be on the next thing by then. But
yeah. So do you have any lyrics from your body of work that have been particularly impactful to you that you'd want to share with us?
Oh man, a lot. Yeah, well, the lyrics for my song Rebirth are, I think, my deepest lyrics so far. I have a lot of lyrics that I appreciate that I came up with, for sure, and some that are a bit more obviously powerful. Like one of my songs, Blowing Bubbles, I try to do that song at every show, and almost I kind of had to stop because I was like, I need to freshen up my set a little bit. But for that song, it's about how we live in this world where it's really easy to live in your own bubble, and a lot of people get way too comfortable just living in their bubble, and everything else is out of sight, out of mind. But what would happen if you changed your definition of what community means? Like, what if you viewed not just your neighborhood or your family as your community, but you viewed your city as your community? What if you viewed the world as your community? And I even say in the song, what if you viewed the universe as your community? I mean, sometimes I do, but it kind of, that, like I said, I feel like an alien, so. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I think that it was a really important song because I say things like, when your bubble pops, like, I'd understand that you'd be confused because you're like, you're living, or even if you're blowing a bubble in front of you and a bubble is kind of expanding, right? And now your vision is kind of skewed because you got this refractory light coming in, and then it pops and you're like, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a scary step, but I think it's a vital step. And I think that what I say in the song, one of the important lyrics is that willful ignorance is fake bliss. Like when you put yourself in that bubble just to feel comfortable, I don't think it's real. You're just like manufacturing that state of mind at the expense of others, which is sad to me. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I tangented. My lyrics for Rebirth, I think, are the deepest I ever wrote. I was on my BS. I was on my trying to find a different way to phrase that. I was feeling myself. And I was in the zone. I was on a wave. Yeah. So the chorus is, our brains change shape over time. I don't play safe. I escape space when it take place in my mind. I can change shape on a dime. I don't do fake great. Shamas to vacate to a great plane so divine. Haven't felt this alive since birth. Documenting my first words. I hope you don't mind this, Earth. And that's like me talking to like the newborn me. Like, I hope you don't mind this, Earth, right? Mm-hmm. And then I say, I lost my way. I need a rebirth. I'ma scream so loud you feel my reverb. I'ma chase my dreams, don't care if my feet hurt. If I'm gonna be a tree, I'm going to need dirt. My heart beats bumping on the speakers. The best way to think is by being a dreamer. The best way to learn is by being a teacher. The best way to scare is by being a preacher. I don't want no shoes, no pants, no t-shirts, but it's in my genes to be a leader. Did I just meet God or leave the reapers? Some witches born don't need a seed first. My mind was scarred by Jeepers Creepers. That's true. When I was a kid, that movie, I just threw that in there. I don't know. It just felt right. That movie messed me up.
There are so many children's movies that are terrifying.
Well, that one's not a children's movie. That was a horror movie. And there's a part where this like monster, like I remember sitting on my Fisher Price alligator teeter-totter. I'm like 6. And then this monster just like gets this cop out of a car and eats its tongue out of his mouth. And I was just like, I couldn't sleep for like 2 months.
Woof.
My mind was scarred by Jeepers Creepers. Besides Omizu, I don't need thirst. Can't fix my hunger. What could be worse? Can't fix my hunger. What could be worse? Because I'm very like embracing my idea of being reborn. Like I'm a newborn spirit, and I'm hungry. Like that's when babies are screaming and they're trying to get your attention. I'm hungry, right? I am hungry. Like both literally, and I'm hungry for change, So I honestly would love to go through the whole song, but I mean, I feel like
people gotta listen to it.
Yeah, you gotta wait for the rest. But I'm very proud of myself for that one, mm-hmm. and I hope people study it. I really do, because I tried to make it. I try to make my music in general worth examining, not just worth hearing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's worth listening to, or as opposed to just.
I mean, the art of active listening is just, it's not as easy for society these days. And it's hard for me as well, because I'm trying to like adapt to how the world works right now. You know, people are very much so like, look at one thing for 10 seconds, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, you know. But so many artists release like deep stuff, and you're not going to get everything on a first glimpse. There's no way, right? It's like when you learn about anything in life, anything that requires studying requires like active attention, right? So I think that, you know, I want to have music that entices people to take that time to breathe and to lower their heart rate a little bit and just give it a second listen, you know, and just hear it in a different way. Like there's songs from my childhood that hit me different now, that I've listened to like millions of times, you know. Pink Floyd's a great example of that. Yeah.
Yeah. How come they're hitting you different now than they were when you were younger?
Because my perspective is different now, you know. I know more about, well, I was going to say I know more about the world, but then I thought of Einstein saying, you know, as the area of our knowledge increases, so does the perimeter of our ignorance, which is like facts.
Straight facts.
You know, like I actually I feel like I know way less now almost, but I have certainly learned more life lessons just as time goes on, you know. And, you know, if a song was written by an adult and you end up around their age, you might have a different take on their lyrics compared to when you're a kid, you know. A lot of it was based on like my interpretation of lyrics when I was younger was based on my wildly active imagination. So I could completely, like, I just might go on a random adventure in my head from a song. It has nothing to do with, like, what they're trying to talk about.
Yeah.
But, you know, rap is a good example, too, honestly. Like, rap definitely hits different now that I'm older and, like, I have a different understanding about our world, you know? Not necessarily what I think the world should be, but just, like, what's going on. I just know more about what's going on, so it just changes the context for everything, you know, depending on what people are talking about. If it's like a love song even, you know, at 29 now, I had that much longer to have my heart broken that many more times. So, I mean, some of them songs, they hit deeper, you know. Lately, I've been counting in my sleep. I've been listening to that lately. Oh, am I allowed to do that? Sorry.
Vaguely.
Good. Yeah. All right.
So earlier you mentioned your set list. What has it been like getting back into performing after COVID?
Well, you know, I actually didn't really perform that much before COVID. So I kind of went gung-ho this 2022. Because before COVID, I think I performed like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, and just very sporadic, I couldn't really like build off the last performance because the time between them was so, the gap was so big, so. But, I mean, I think people are loosening up a little bit more right now, but it is a little hard because, for example, when I performed at the Starlight Room, I really want people just in my face, like, come, like, basically hug me, you know what I mean? I think every rapper, I mean, maybe any artist would like that. Sometimes, obviously, you're down to give a performance for some seated people, and obviously I'm down for that too. But at that show, you know, I really noticed that people are social distancing, obviously, right? But when I was younger and I made music, and what made me want to make music is the sea of sardines of people just like can barely move.
Yeah.
And they're just like, notice me, I love you. Right? And I'm not saying that I have that type of fan base right now or anything, but it's more like you could tell that people were just taking it easy, which is great, right? Like everyone's got their own process and stuff. But it was weird because I feel like I have to almost bring a little bit more energy because there's less to feed off of because it's like social distancing. People haven't just let loose in a while, whatever the factors are, right? So, but that was in March, and even since March, it's been been different. I think summer kind of like, you know, activated some people in that sense. Did for me at least, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's been strange, you know, like it's been strange, but I'm still grateful anyways that I can have people hear what I'm saying. You know, that's most important for me. I think people still feel the things that I'm saying when I perform. But I think a lot of my sets tend to get a bit more poetic and spoken word instead of like because, you know, we're not there yet. And maybe I'm not even there yet. Right now I do kind of just want to reflect and be a sad boy a little bit about the times.
Sad boy summer.
Sad boy, sad but optimistic. Yeah, I try to ride that line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with starting to perform more then, has there been anything that you've learned?
Man. Yeah. So many. All the things. Like I mean, I didn't really know how to engage with the crowd before. Like when I performed once in 2021, like if I there was a period in my life before I really experienced heavy depression, anxiety, when I think I actually had great MC energy and like crowd control and stuff. I didn't have my own music, but I was very comfortable at reading a room and you know, acting on that. But you know, it's very vulnerable to start being an artist. So at the beginning of that, it was very hard for me to do that. So I would kind of make up for it by making some like theatrical, performative elements to my performances. So like my very first show, for example, had long hair at the time, and then I got my friend who kind of looks like me. Like he had long hair down to here and a similar like facial hair. A little bit lighter skinned, but I gave him one of my outfits that like I know people know that I have, and then he went on stage and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm ejazz. Nice to meet you." And then I go on stage, I'm like, "Who
Yeah.
does anybody know this person? Like, who is this person? Get off the stage! Like what?" And you know, I tried to make up for not knowing how to like actually interact with them by just putting more into my act, because I've always been inspired by theater as well. Like Tegan and Sarah, some of my favorite artists, and they're very theatrical, I think, when they perform a lot of the time. Very intimate with each other and performative, but they do talk to the crowd a lot. But or even at my last show at Polar Park in 2021, I changed my outfit for basically every song. I had like 7 songs, and I just like
one person production,
yeah.
stripping
So
down. Yeah.
it felt like the pandemic really limited me in terms of like what I could do creatively. So I almost felt like I was getting 7 live shows in one, footage-wise, like and photos-wise.
Yeah.
You know, like I did the same thing for like a virtual music festival that I did at the end of 2021 with a group called Two Seater, or actually All Right in Edmonton, and for that one too, I basically did, it was like 7 songs, like you record them and put it all together and then they stream it on Twitch or whatever. And I did that, but again, new outfit and new scene for every song. So it was like 7 music videos together for my live show. Because I was like, this is making up for all the music videos I didn't get to do over the last 2 years. So in a weird way, that was like a cool piece of art that probably would not have come if it were not for the pandemic. So like, not saying I'm grateful for the pandemic necessarily, not the right phrasing, but you know, there are a lot of beautiful things that did come out of hardship in general, out of being limited, right? Like creatively, when you're limited, sometimes the most crazy stuff can just pop up. So I kind of forgot the question, to be honest.
The question is, what have you learned from getting into performing?
Right. I mean, I learned a lot, even just like technical stuff, like check 1 2, check. Like how does what monitors are? Oh yeah, this is the levels of you hearing yourself, and that's the levels of them hearing you. Let's give that, like, just Now when I go to do a sound check, I don't feel awkward. I'm like, all right, let's do this. Check 1, 2. All right, that sounds good there. All right, like I actually feel way more comfortable with that kind of stuff now. But yeah, I think, yeah, I tangented off the crowd interaction thing because that is the one thing that I have been getting better at lately.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can only do so many shows, at least for me, where I'm like, all right, guys, come on, bring it in. Like, I eventually just was like so comfortable with myself that I was like ready to try and make everyone else feel comfortable. So I started to like look at people more and like speak my lyrics to them, right? I think before I used to be like rapping all my lyrics kind of down here.
Talking to your shoes.
Yeah. My shoes know everything about me. But it's different. It's different when you look at people. Like if you go to see an artist you like and you get front row tickets and they look at you while they're saying some things.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know. So yeah, I've been much better at that. I learned that I can perform while having an anxiety attack. Yeah.
Dang.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I like, you know, I've had struggles with, right, depression, anxiety, and that was one of my fears, like, oh man, what if I have an anxiety attack on stage? But I had an anxiety attack in this room one time, and it was the first time ever where I just grabbed the bull by the horns and I controlled it, and it was incredible. I no exaggeration, felt like a superhero, because it felt like before when it happened, I'm like, all right, here we go again, and I'm just gonna have to ride this out, try and breathe, whatever. Fucking, oh, sorry.
It's
sorry.
Okay. We can bleep it.
Okay. Whatever. Touch 5 things around you. I know there's all these tricks, but if I'm being honest, you know, what works for everybody is different, person to person, right? For me, that kind of stuff might help a little bit, but it never really kind of calm me down. I tried something new where I just put on some music and I just started rapping very self-confident lyrics, like not mine, other people's songs. And I was doing it, my heart rate was just like that, but I was just doing it and I was saying all these positive things that were in the lyrics of other people's songs. And then I just felt in control, even though I still felt like I was going down on a roller coaster infinitely.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like losing control. It was like a runaway car, but I was just holding on like the whole time.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so after that, like I went to perform in Jasper one time. That was my first time doing an out-of-town show. And there was just a bunch of stressors up until that point externally, but even when I got there, you know, even when I go on vacation, if I go somewhere new, I like to really ground myself first before I adventure, right? So whether it's the hotel or a hostel, wherever I'm staying at, I like to go, you know, unload the things and whatever, maybe take a shower, but just kind of arrange my home for the time being and then go out, right? Now, there's been times where I go straight into adventure mode and it's fine, but usually I'm carrying minimal stuff. But for this Jasper show, I just had like all these clothes. I had a big box of merch. I had my guitar and amps and all of it. I didn't bring it in the hostel before I went into like adventure mode, because I went there also to shoot scenes for that Rebirth music video. So I just went straight into action. And the next morning before my show, I had so much anxiety, and I went for a jog for like 2 hours. But because I performed like 8 times this summer, and that was maybe my 5th, so because I had some reps in, I was feeling anxiety up until the moment I performed, but you know, my preparedness overcame that. And that was really, really like big moment for me mentally, because you know, when you're that prepared and when you know your stuff like it's breathing, then I mean, you can kind of almost be in any state and still at least do your job, right? You might give a different performance than you maybe anticipated if you weren't having a bunch of anxiety, but I can still do the work. And at the end of the day, that's why I focus so much on lyrics. That's why lyrics are number one for me, because even if my performance or my energy or whatever is wherever it's at, like if I can stand by my lyrics and I'm able to express them, I know that that people will be able to accept and feel something regardless of all the other stuff. So that was a big moment for me. And it's not like I'm like, all right, cool, I don't care if I have anxiety for every show. No, of course I'm going to try to not.
Yeah. It's not the ideal circumstance.
Yeah. But I know I can figure it out because I've done it before. So I'm just kind of I'm still in recovery mode from the pandemic. You know, one thing I've been telling myself all COVID was that it took this long for the pandemic to mess me up, so why shouldn't it take the equal amount of time to kind of find my footing again? Mm-hmm. You know, why can't I feel like everything opens somewhat all at once, and you want to just almost be as if nothing ever happened. It's just not realistic, for me at least.
You can't rush healing, sadly. Like, it's gonna happen at its own time.
Yeah.
Like, if you broke an arm, it would take time to heal. Just because you took the cast off doesn't mean your arm is like an arm again. I mean, it's probably an arm, but it's not as strong of an arm.
Yeah, whatever. My metaphorical arm still can only like lift half of the weight.
Yeah, exactly.
that it could lift before. Yeah.
So something we've talked about before and goes kind of hand in hand with performance and vulnerability is the feeling of being an imposter and imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. How have you dealt with that?
Yeah. YOLO, baby. Honestly. It's short answer would be YOLO, but affirmations is a good one, honestly. Like, a good friend of mine, Kate, great Edmonton artist, she reminded me the other day about some affirmations to just say to yourself when you're feeling a type of way. And so I got 4 that I say right now. I say, you're capable of being who you want to be. You are strong. You have people who love you. You have people who you love. And I just say those over and over again. The first one, I think, directly addresses the imposter syndrome. Because I want to be great. Because I know I can be great. I am 1,000% certain that I can be great, even though life sometimes really gets me doubtful. Mm-hmm. But because I know I can be, that's why I say, and that I can become the person that I want to be. Or not even become, I can be. Yeah, I don't want to say become. I'm very particular about word choice. I can be the person who I want to be. Because that doesn't mean that it has to happen sometime. It means I can embrace where I'm at right now and still be who I want to be right now. So I would say affirmations is a big one. But doing my thing. When it comes to do with music, like, you know, if we're talking specifically me and my music, because it's not the only place I might feel imposter syndrome, but if it's that, I just go up on stage and do my thing. And then usually somebody will be like, that was tight. And I'll be like, right on. So I was feeling it when I went to this event recently in Edmonton. Am I allowed to say the name of the event and stuff?
Yep.
Okay. It's called Dis or Daps. Highly recommend. If you're a hip-hop head and you're listening to this, highly recommend. Definitely for the culture, for the scene. One of the hosts, Jay Reds, I've known him since like high school from the metal scene. It's like this event where you go and there's 3 judges and then random people get on stage or anybody, and then they put on a random beat and you just try to like kill it, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that there's a performative element. So I was one of the first I was the first performer out of all of them afterwards. I had so much respect for the people that came after me. Like, they were so good, right? That I started to feel imposter syndrome. I was like, oh man, there's no way these guys are rappers. I'm just whatever. Like, but then those same people after the show talked to me and they're like, oh, that one song you did, Blowing Bubbles or whatever, that was my favorite. One guy that blew me away told me that his favorite song of the night was one of mine. And it's kind of hard. Like, you'd have to try really hard to stay in imposter syndrome mode when something like that happens. And it can still happen, don't get me wrong. I'm like, he's lying, no way, no
Liar.
way. Yeah. But honestly, I try to set up things in life that remind me of what I'm capable of and who I am. So this room is an example of that. Affirmations are an example of that. Good friends are example. People that have known you for a while, that know what you're about. You know, I can't explain enough how grateful I am for great friendships, especially that have lasted just over a period of change in one's life. Like, being friends with somebody and both people have grown and you're still friends, how valuable of a connection that is to me is, I'm going to try on my Rebirth EP to explain it.
Yeah.
But so thank you as well, Kimiko, for being my friend for so long. I appreciate it.
Friends. My hand's sweaty.
Friendship.
You love to live it.
Yeah. Sweaty hands give great high fives, though.
Good audio.
Yeah.
A wet smack.
Yeah.
Love it.
But yeah, talking with people that know you is a great one. Just telling them how you feel.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need people to remind you, like, what you're about when you're in that scenario, you know. So people that have been a part of your journey are really great help for that, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you have to remember what your value is, but then when you forget that, it's so nice to have other people to remind you. Like, it's a really beautiful thing.
100%. Shout out to my roommates. Sometimes I love to self-reflect, but sometimes when things are tough, I'm just unable to properly self-reflect. But they see what's going on, at least from their own perspective. So, you know, even for them to do some level of reflection for me, it just kind of helps ground me. You know, when I'm feeling imposter syndrome, I don't feel grounded, because if I feel grounded, I feel lit.
Yeah.
I feel like I can do anything when I feel grounded. Yeah. But it is, yeah, that's a deep topic. I would say I do like to also feel like I'm boundless and flying. But I think that it's kind of human nature to have grounding being the base, right? Like, every child wants to stray away from their parents for a little bit, even when they're super young, and just kind of do something random, but that's because they know they can go running back to the parents. You know what I mean? There's always some, like, base, and you kind of adventure out from there. And Edmonton is definitely that for me, for sure, because I definitely I like to consider myself a citizen of the world. You know, I really love everywhere, but Edmonton is definitely home base for me, and I'll never forget what it's done for me and how it shaped me and stuff in all the good ways. Yeah. Yeah,
it's one of those things where to have a safety net means you can take risks because you're going to be caught if you fall. And it's so important to be grounded and to have a network around you.
Yeah.
So.
Totally.
To take us off on a bit of a different tangent here, we're veering. You just released and filmed a music video. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was not that I have a lot of music videos, but that was a pretty different one from all of them, because upon a talk with my roommate, I had so many ideas and projects that I started that I don't finish because I try to hold myself. I got trapped in this mindset where I felt like everything I released had to be like something that could make me, like, be the ticket. You know, I couldn't just have fun. and mess around and just make stuff for fun. You know, I have been having a hard time at this point in my music career unifying the career aspect of it and the hobby aspect of it. I was journaling about this last night, and at first I said separating the two, but I was like, I don't know if I want to separate the two. I think I want to unify them in a healthy manner, I think. And I've been having a hard time doing that. So that song, I had the lyrics. I already had paid for the beat from dope Edmonton producer Jack.Mac. Mm-hmm. Shout out Jack.Mac. And I just didn't record it. I've had like recording anxiety after my second EP because I was trying to do it a lot during the pandemic. Like I released it December 2020, and things started to, like, that was like the early stages, right? But things were already hitting me. Mm-hmm. And it was just like I had a really bad relationship with that, like take after take after take. It was just like draining me so much. So I started to build this anxiety of like, if I don't get this in the first take or two, like I literally can't get back to it. So Young Simba, that song that came out, it was an opportunity to let all of that go. I just did it, and I literally sat there. I like leaned back in my chair like this. I brought my mic close to me, and I was just like, Young Simba, always dreamed of being I was just chilling. I even said in the intro, I was like, big chillin', 'cause I'm just sitting there. And then my friend Andrew came over. We've been friends since high school. He brought his phone, and then we just shot a music video on my phone in 2 hours. He put it together, mm-hmm. and then I released it. And it's like here, yeah, because my friend was telling me, my roommate Brett was telling me that this analogy that he heard where he's like, anybody can have a sausage stand, but not everybody has a sizzle. Right? That's what makes each sausage stand out, is when they got the sizzle. He's like, you got the sizzle, but you're not selling any sausages. People got to know that you got a sausage stand. Mm. The sizzle is already there. You just got to put out you got to sell some sausages.
All right.
And I was like, damn, bro. You're right.
I got to start slinging sausage.
Yeah. Precisely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I'm a rapper. Yeah. So that's what that was. It was just like a fun thing. And usually when I give myself a deadline, I start to freak out. But I was like, I'm not. I'm going to put the song out on Friday. Mm-hmm. And however it is fine. Because this is not going to be my breakout hit. Or maybe, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm not dwelling about that. I'm just having fun. And I needed a reminder of what that felt like. So vibing with my friend too, Andrew, was really great for that too. Because we've had a rapport for so long. Mm-hmm. So that's what that song was. But I think generally speaking, I'm a very artsy fartsy kind of guy, I think, in my heart. So I like to really give stuff attention to detail. Mm-hmm. But, I realized that I have this big music video I'm working on for Rebirth, and it's kind of a short film. It's a music video / short film. It's going to be like 8 minutes long with 3 parts. So I was like, I already got that. I can kind of just mess around on some of these other ones and have fun, because that's going to scratch that itch for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm working on it, so I don't need to give so much like energy to like everything. I just need to let people know that I'm doing this because I enjoy it, not just because I'm trying to like do good. Like, it's also because I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's fun too, because sometimes when you work on those projects that are just like a passion project, or you're doing it for fun, or you're just like dinking around, sometimes like really cool ideas come from that. Mm-hmm. Like that 100%. Absolute no pressure zone.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Freestyling, like I'm trying to get better at freestyling in general in all aspects of life, you know. There was an idea that came there where I was sitting here and then I was over there in a different outfit. So he took the camera from me here and went like this, and then started the next shot like this onto me.
Yeah.
So it was like a quick transition to me, but in a different outfit. And that was just on the fly. And I was like, this is a learning experience. This has been solid.
Yeah.
You know, so totally, like 100%. And yeah, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself that I have to have everything planned out beforehand. That's just an anxiety thing. But realistically, I think I'm actually at my best when I'm just going with the flow. Yeah.
When you step back and just let yourself be yourself.
When I vibe like this guy. When I can be this guy,
you're just chilling, loosey-goosey, yeah.
That's when the magic happens, for sure.
The sweet spot.
Yeah.
Sweet. So can you tell us where we can find you and your music online?
So my SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/Dr. Coniferous. It was originally going to be Mr. Coniferous, which is my YouTube channel. That's kind of a play on SpongeBob, because there's like this whole Mr. Dr. Professor Patrick thing. Yeah. I love SpongeBob. So my YouTube is Mr. Coniferous Music, MUZIK. My SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/Dr. Coniferous. But my artist name is just ejazz, which is my name. So you can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, all of them streaming services, just ejazz. Not that many of me, so should be pretty easy to find. My Instagram is ejazzloveslove. And everything, I have a link tree on there with all my stuff. I also have an alter ego called the Alien that I don't even know how to describe what that is. It's like performance art, spoken word poetry, I guess. And I wear an alien mask when I do it. So that's harder to find. Even if it's soundcloud.com/hey I'm just like you. Yeah. That's what that one is. So if you want to check that out for some weird stuff, definitely give that a shot. It's very bizarre. I love it. When I performed in Jasper, I did a dual show, like one as ejazz, and then after I did the Alien. And I tried something really new. I was trying to experiment with crowd interaction, crowd control. So I was just kind of like reading some thoughts that I wrote on my phone out loud onto the microphone. And then I just kind of paused. And I just stared at people without saying anything for like 3 minutes. And everybody was looking at me and just like everyone's just making weird faces because they don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I was like, I barely even know what's happening. I have this alien mask on. I'm just yeah, so that has a lot of potential in the future. That's my side project. But yeah, those are the things. You can find merch by DMing me on Instagram. Got a big box of merch. I got this shirt. Oh, sorry, that's not a shirt. This is a sweater with the wavy boy on it, and then I got this shirt right here too that I designed as well. Very comfy. It's a raven and a dove. Play on yin yang. Sorry. I'm only studied Chinese for like 8 years. I gotta pronounce that right.
It's fine. It happens to us all.
阴和阳，你知道吗？
I do.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, like, I'm eternally grateful for such an opportunity. It's my first legit interview.
Wow.
And I feel like $1,000 right now.
You look
10,000.
like it.
Thank you.
$1 million with the canvas behind
Oh,
you.
true. $1,010,000 is what I feel like right now.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for watching. We will be back streaming tomorrow with Poor Little Tin Man, an Edmonton punk band. So we'll see you then.